On today's news, an AEW vs WWE crossover match has been cancelled, which AEW star has been involved in a car accident, a new report has stated when NXT's contract with the USA Network is set to end, Paul Heyman names the opponent he thinks would be a huge box office match for Roman Reigns, and we're going to talk all about WWE Smackdown's latest overnight ratings. Hello everyone, I am Gareth here from What Culture Wrestling, bringing you, full disclosure, a very, very cold solo Sunday news today in Newcastle. It's really cold here. Nobody told me it was going to be this cold. I'm shivering in my bedroom, but it's fine. We're going to power on through. We're going to get through this Sunday news today because there's a lot of stuff that we need to talk about. And first up, we've got a piece of news which is quite eye-catching when you first look at it. A potential WWE versus AEW crossover match, which was scheduled to go down next Friday at the Game Changer Wrestling's Fight Forever event. That is no longer happening. We're of course talking about the match between recently signed NXT star Cora Jade, who previously was known as Elena Black. She was set to face off against Joey Janela. That match obviously not happening anymore because Cora Jade's now with NXT. She's doing her own thing over there in NXT, and you know, Joey Janela in WWE's eyes works for the enemy, so they're not going to let them go at it in a match. Obviously, she then took to Twitter, Cora Jade took to Twitter to kind of say sorry to the fans and apologise for the situation. Obviously, it's a crazy situation that's just come out of nowhere for Cora Jade, so she's just kind of snatched that ball and ran with it. She said, so sorry to all the fans, GCW Wrestling and Joey Janela, for not being able to make the show. Something kind of came up, but it's still going to be a sick show, so please watch and continue to donate if possible. Hashtag Fight Forever. Obviously, Cora Jade made a WWE in-ring debut. That was this week on 205 Live, if you check that out. She was teaming with Gigi Dolan, obviously another recently signed NXT star, in the Women's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. They were taking on the team of The Way, Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. They lost that match, but big things are coming for them in the future. It's a shame this match didn't actually go down, but I'm excited for Cora Jade going forward. Next up, we've got another kind of shocking piece of news when you just kind of look at it as a headline in itself, but things aren't as bad as they initially seem. I'm talking, of course, about an AEW star that has been involved in a car accident. That star is Matt Hardy, but it's not as extreme as it first looks. The image that he put on Twitter, you could just see the back of his car, the bumper had just been kind of ripped away. It looked really quite bad, to be fair, at first look. But he's now recently posted on Twitter, he kind of captioned that picture and said, today's free advice, don't rubberneck at Rex or you'll create another one. Thank goodness I'm invincible. And obviously some fans were quite worried then. They were thinking, oh my God, what's happened to Matt Hardy? He's been through enough in the last 12 months, not something else. And then he later on went out to tweet just to kind of put the internet at ease. He said, just so the net understands, was driving home from Jacksonville on Friday and there was a wreck 25 minutes away from my house. It created a standstill traffic, which I had stopped in. A truck drove into my stopped car at about 40 miles an hour because he was rubbernecking the wreck. I am fine. So great that he is fine. That still isn't something you really want to have go down, Mr. Matt Hardy. We don't want to see you getting in any form of car crash, no matter how big or how small. So please look after yourself. 2020 was crazy for you. Can AEW just wrap him in cotton wool and just put him in a nice little room to just be safe for a little bit? Because we like Matt Hardy, stay safe. So on to our next piece of news today, and it is to do with AEW's biggest rivals, their Wednesday night rivals right now, NXT, and it's to do with when their contract is set to end with the USA Network. So obviously you would have heard over the last couple of days that NBC is set to get rid of their NBC Sports Network later this year, and this is going to have huge repercussions for the USA Network going forward. If the NHL is then moved on to the USA Network, it could mean that some of the wrestling content that they do kind of produce and present, it could be bumped, it could be shifted around, moved to different nights. But judging from what the Wrestling Observer Radio had to say on it, Dave Meltzer, he said that he doesn't think Monday Night Raw is going to be massively affected by this because of the loyalty and the equity they've built up for Raw over the last, how many years that it's been on the USA Network. But NXT, because of the way the NHL season works out and kind of how the fixtures land, NXT could be moved and it could be shifted to Tuesday nights, maybe Thursday nights, because of playoffs, regular season games, all the rest of it. So it could have a big impact on NXT going forward. But one of the key takeaways from this recent episode of the Wrestling Observer Radio is that it was also revealed that NXT's contract with USA comes to an end this October. So that's 2 years after, obviously, the kick started the big revolution, the Wednesday Night War and all the rest of it. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens next for NXT, if that deal is renewed, whether it moves to another network, whether it does shift to a Tuesday or a Thursday night. I think that would be the best for everyone at this stage. I don't feel like NXT are coming out of this whole Wednesday night situation the greatest right now. They're not consistently beating AEW in those ratings, and I think we've seen last year when those shows are airing on different nights, the ratings do miles better because people don't have to choose, they don't have to split the viewing times, they can just watch NXT on a Tuesday or a Thursday and watch AEW on a Wednesday. I think it's the best all around. I hope this does happen, but we'll have to stay tuned to see what does. And keeping in the sphere of World Wrestling Entertainment, we're going to talk about Friday Night Smackdown, really. We're going to talk about Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns. If you've been watching Smackdown over the last couple of weeks, couple of months, you will have seen that the Tribal Chief has been on quite a tear, and he's had Paul Heyman there, his right-hand man, his special counsel there all the way through it, and he's been talking a good game. He's been kind of doing all the dirty work that Mr. Reigns doesn't want to do for himself because he can't get that golden gauntlet dirty. He doesn't like that. So Paul Heyman has obviously been on Talking Smack an awful lot recently. He's been like a special guest host alongside Kayla Braxton. And if you've been watching Talking Smack, I talk about this every single week pretty much, but there's so many good little nuggets of promo gold and just not pipe bombs, but maybe truths that aren't allowed to be spoken on SmackDown every single week. And this, in my opinion, is probably another one of those, because Paul Heyman was talking about who he thinks would be a huge box office match for Roman Reigns. And he said, straight up, Cesaro would be huge box office for WWE. It's something that me and Phil have been saying week after week after week on the SmackDown podcast. We think Cesaro is so underutilized in WWE in general. If you just watch some of the matches he's had recently, and some of the promos he's been cutting have been really good as well. But I digress. He said he is uber talented and he's on a path right now to the top, and there's only one man right now who has any hope of stopping him, and that's Roman Reigns. Which is why that match could be the headline of WrestleMania this year, when Roman Reigns puts down Kevin Owens next week at the Royal Rumble, and if Cesaro, who has a very good chance of winning the Royal Rumble, does just that. I'd love to see that match. Is it going to happen? I don't think so. I'm not trying to be a negative Nelly, Nancy, whatever you want to call me, but I don't have faith in WWE giving Cesaro that platform. He deserves that platform. I think he'd be outstanding in a WrestleMania match against Roman Reigns. Both those characters right now have been on magnificent form. Is it going to happen? I don't think so, but let me know what you think in the comment section below. And last up, we're going to talk about the thing that everybody comes to the Solo Sunday news section to talk about. Of course, I am waffling on about the Smackdown overnight ratings. So, how did they do? Did they go up? Did they go down? It's a very slight up again. It's that little dab up, which I shouldn't do. I can't pull off the dab. But they've gone up 0.9% from the previous week's show. And this is according to Showbuzz Daily, that last night's episode of Smackdown drew an average of 2.282 million viewers overnight. They also scored 0.6 in the always important, ever important 18 to 49 demographic, and that was tied number 2 for the evening behind Shark Tank yet again. Everybody just loves the Shark Tank. I don't know what it is. Well, if you like Shark Tank, great, but I guess if you're watching this news right now, you're probably not the biggest Shark Tank compared to SmackDown. Don't know where I'm going with this, but it's fine. And as always, I think if SmackDown's ratings are above 2 million, it's probably a good sign right now. 2.282 million on average. Not a bad number in the grand scheme of things. So SmackDown will probably be happy with that. That overall viewership, if it does stay at that number when the final ratings are released on Monday, that number would be 8th in total viewership on the night behind a whole other lot of things, including Shark Tank, because everybody loves Shark Tank. So that has been your Solo Sunday news. I apologize if I've been a chittering mess here because it's so dang cold. I need some kind of big jacket with fluff on its head and mittens and everything else. I'm grossly unprepared for this cold. But as always, if you have any points, opinions, things to say about any of the news that we've covered here today, feel free to comment in the comment section right down below. Follow myself on Twitter at gmorgan04. Follow everybody here at What Culture Wrestling, at What Culture WWE. Don't forget to like the video, share the video, subscribe to everything. Click on everything that has to do with What Culture WWE. We've got so much good stuff dropping all the time. But the most important thing, I'll say it again, I say it every single week, just look after yourselves. Enjoy this Sunday. You've had a hell of a week. It's been a long one. If you've been in the UK and you've been in yet another lockdown like we still are, each week tends to be a bit of a battle, but we got to the end of it. Let's make next week just as strong. Go eat some food. Go watch some wrestling. Have fun. I'll see you soon.